Good afternoon, everyone. My name is George Barany, and I'm the director of America Saves, and this is America Saves Week 2020. This is one of our premier kickoff events for today. Today's theme is Saving Automatically, and I have the pleasure of being here with three industry executive leaders. Let me introduce to you Christian Bohmfalk, Senior Vice President and Consumer Savings Executive at Bank of America. Harry Dalessio, Senior Vice President and Head of Prudential Retirement's Full Service Solutions. And Alice Rodriguez, Head of Community and Business Development at JP Morgan Chase, Head of Chase's Consumer Banking. These three industry leaders are going to be responding to a couple of questions that hopefully will be helpful to all of us. The first one being, so many Americans are struggling to save. They either don't believe they can, they don't necessarily trust their ability to save, perhaps they're even living on the edge and just saving is not even part of their thinking these days. But we know that they need to, that saving is essential to meet the emergencies that crop up on a regular basis to all of us, and to create, most importantly, a sense of peace of mind. So I'm going to ask Christian to kick us off. What would you recommend to people who just seem to struggle or are just totally frustrated by their inability to save?
Absolutely. Thank you, George, for the question, and thanks for this opportunity to join this panel today. We're very excited about the start of America Saves Week, and it is completely understandable that many Americans feel like they just don't have room to save, and if they may want to, but don't really know where to start. We heard similar feedback just last month at a survey we conducted at Bank of America, where 80% of respondents told us they are saving something, but 50% said they don't think they're saving enough to meet their financial goals. And just given the day-to-day bills, the unexpected expenses like the refrigerator or car breaking down, and then just the desire to spend some money on hobbies and entertainment, it's no surprise that at the end of the month, a lot of people just don't feel like there's anything left to put into savings. So what do? It's sort of like an exercise program or a change in diet that people often know they should do, they know they want to do, but they just don't know where to start. So I'll mention three areas we focus on at Bank of America to help people in that regard. Number one is simple, just start and start small, if that makes it easier. Number two is to make it automatic. And then number three is to look for small and maybe some unexpected ways to boost your savings. And I'll talk briefly about each. So first is just to start and start small. The reality is any big savings goal, like saving for a child's education, down payment on a house, if you look at it long term, it can look pretty daunting. When the finish line is that far away, it can be hard to start when you're not even at the starting line. That's why we encourage customers to start where they can. That might be $1 a day put away in savings, which would equate to about $7 a week. That's less than the cost of a movie ticket. Over time, however, that would add up. Obviously, $1 a day is going to give you more than $350 in a year, $700 in 2 years. If you didn't start saving and look back and said, I could have had $700 in my savings account, you'd probably feel a lot better if you had actually made that step. Number two, as I mentioned, is to save automatically. I think it's great that America Saves theme starts today with Save Automatically. So that $1 a day could be saved by putting in $7 a week from your checking to savings account with the recurring transfer, $30 a month if a client would prefer to do it that way. Setting it up and making it just happen takes a lot of the decision out of the process. There are other ways to save automatically. We have a feature here called Keep the Change that rounds up a client's debit card purchases and transfers the balance of change over from checking to savings. And as you've noted with a lot of the America Saves content, putting a portion of a paycheck or direct deposit into savings is another great way. And then finally, look for some unexpected ways. These are ways to really boost your savings without a whole lot of effort or intervention. Personal example, just a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I got a surprise $16 check in the mail. We had overpaid on a vehicle registration with the DMV. Now, Typically, I might have just put that in checking and sort of forgotten about it. But I paused and said, no, I wasn't expecting this money. I'll put this in savings. So I took a picture of it with our mobile app, deposited it straight into our savings account, and now that will grow along with our other savings. Similar, between now and mid-April, millions of Americans will receive a tax refund. And I would say if you don't need to use all of that to pay bills or pay down debt, why not put some or all of it into savings and let that grow over time and build up that emergency fund or build toward that goal that you have. So again, start small, make it automatic, and look for unexpected ways to boost your savings.
Thanks, Christian. Harry, what would you recommend?
Yeah, thanks, George. I'd say from my perspective, maybe a couple thoughts as it relates to the topic. Our research shows that 6 in 10 Americans say that financial matters are the leading cause of stress in their lives, above and beyond anything else. So thinking in particular as it relates to savings, and Christian touched on a bunch of this as it relates to just kind of how daunting it can be. First and foremost, if you have a workplace retirement plan or savings plan available to you, that's a great opportunity to have savings payroll deducted from your paycheck. You're paying yourself first. It's going into an account that will offer you a list of investment options. In many cases, there's an employer match associated with that as well. And, really allows for the opportunity for savings growth to happen at the workplace through payroll deduction, which is a proven method of really significant participation across the U.S. workforce, saving through their employer in a longer-term savings or longer-term retirement plan. Now, we also acknowledge that there's a lot of things that get in the way of that. So thinking about financial stress, you can't look at it from a one-dimensional standpoint. There are people are struggling with budgeting. People are struggling with emergency savings. People are struggling with student loan debt. And the list goes on. And as you think about savings, a lot of times life gets in the way, which we see more and more employers. And one of the things we're doing, at Prudential is really expanding the financial wellness platform to really begin to take into account and offer services to our clients so that they could, expand their engagement and really focus on some of the root cause challenges that they may have that get in the way of savings day in and day out, and how they could take advantage of those opportunities along the way. Many of our clients make student loan assistance available. More and more of them are offering budgeting services, debt management services, and counseling to their employee base. We were recently rolled out last year an emergency savings vehicle that's a sidecar to a defined contribution plan, a 401k plan, where workers would have the opportunity to create an emergency savings plan through payroll deduction, as well. So I think as we think about it from a holistic standpoint, if you're an employer, it really starts with plan design. The best path forward, we believe, is automatic enrollment and automatic savings increases for employees along the way. And then specific to employees, it's expanding the offering of services available to them to help them make stronger life choices as it relates to their financial matters, and move from more of a one-dimensional, save for your retirement to many of the things that are much more immediate needs for them than thinking about retirement. So automatic enrollment's critical, automatic savings increases are critical, and expanding the platform to offer a broad range of services for employees and employers so that their workforce could be much more engaged in their financial matters, as well as, the goal is to reduce the level of financial stress that most U.S. workers are feeling, and, continue to drive growth and financial security for those individuals. So those are maybe a handful of things that are top of mind to us at Prudential.
Thanks, Harry. And Alice, what would you recommend?
Well, a lot of great suggestions there by my colleagues at other institutions. What I would add is it starts with really what's most important to you, because we know that money is very, very emotional. And when you think about what your core values are, that gets you to really establishing what your goals are. And research does show that when you actually establish a goal and write it down, you're much more likely to stick to it. I think the second really then is thinking about your plan. And again, I think this is really around that budget, or how do you modify currently what you're spending on? And sometimes it could be some really, really small things. So you think about, if I start with a grocery list, I'm more likely to stick to that grocery list and then stick to my budget as I'm out getting what I need for my family. It could be just those things that are sort of like those daily things that we all do in terms of grabbing coffee and take our lunch. Is there a way to bring that to work so that we can cut that down? So that does get to then starting small. And the point that's been made already, but just start, is so, so critical. And I think when people establish what's most important to them, and then they've got that goal, they actually write down a couple of things that they can modify, and then use tools that are out there from a budgeting perspective that help them really understand their spending. It then gets them to this place of, okay, now let me automatically use a tool, right? Whether it's an app or some sort of bank tool, to transfer money automatically. I think that set it and forget it is really a big deal. And it really just takes the work out of the individual having to do it. And I do think that, having some sort of accountability partner really helps. You think about all of the things you do when you are, trying to deal with your with your health wellness. Having that accountability partner makes it real, and it allows you to really stay on task. I think it's no different when we think about it from a financial wellness perspective. So, having that accountability partner really goes a long way to you sticking to that plan.
Thanks, Alice. And I agree with everything that all of you have said. And America Saves has long seen the financial stress that many, many Americans are facing, and it affects them as an employee. It affects the employer's bottom line. And Alice, your point about an accountability partner, I think is right on. And America Saves really views ourselves as being that accountability partner. We have a pledge that we're encouraging people to take this week, which really is just creating a simple financial plan for yourself. As you've suggested, creating a goal, how much you think you can save on a monthly basis. And then you're supported around that through text messages and emails, a Facebook group, so that you have that accountability partner. And we've seen research that shows that if you're saving automatically, using direct deposit, splitting a little bit of your pay so that it goes directly into a savings account, that you could save $90 more a month than people who try to do that on their own or manually. So that concept of set it, forget it, and pay yourself first certainly apply. In terms of helping people save automatically, Christian, if you could give us a sense of what does Bank of America do to help people save automatically, and then we'll ask that same question of everybody.
Certainly. Well, number one is being part of this group. Being part of America Saves Week is huge with that, because we're very supportive of the messages you mentioned. But then as far as helping our customers, we look at it across, again, 3 key areas. So there's education, there's the tools that are available, and then access to experts. So I'll touch briefly on each of those. Anybody who's watching today is trying to learn, and it stands to reason that an educated saver is long-term going to be a better saver. And to that end, we provide a wealth of information both to our customers and the general public. A couple of examples: we have a website called bettermoneyhabits.com that anyone can go look at. That's out there in partnership with the Khan Academy, and it's loaded with articles, videos, easy to digest graphics about a host of financial topics, including how to start saving, how to budget, like Alice was mentioning, how to cut out unneeded expenses perhaps, and then really make a plan and stick with it. Another resource we just launched last week is we put a 2020 savings health survey or quiz out on BuzzFeed. So if you're out on BuzzFeed looking at some of the interesting content there, be sure to search and take our savings quiz that helps you understand where you are in the savings journey. And again, get some tips on how to potentially improve with that. And then finally, at B of A, we do have scores of financial experts to help, and I'll touch on them a little bit later. They can be great resources on the education front. And then as far as tools, to start out, a piggy bank or a mason jar is a good, certainly fine place to start saving. But at some point, people typically need to graduate into something a little more robust to really have a solid saving plan and make real traction with that. So at Bank of America, we offer one simple savings account that's designed to meet the needs of the consumer population. It's called Bank of America Advantage Savings. We really feel like it meets the needs of savers from birth all the way throughout their life. And to help clients get started early, we waive the monthly fee on that for students through their 24th birthday. So it's not just till they become adults, but as long as they are still a student, we'll waive that fee through 24 to really help them build and continue to build upon a strong savings habit. My boys each got their first savings account at age 7. That's what worked for our family, but it can be different for everybody. And we encourage folks to research online and then talk to a relationship manager or a financial advisor if that's the right tool for them. In that survey I mentioned that we just did last month, we found that about 55% of Americans said that they were never taught how to manage finances growing up, which is alarming. More concerning is that of those, 2/3 said they're not saving today, which isn't really a surprise, but it highlights the real correlation between education and learning up front to establish a solid behavior. So I think it's great that this Saturday's theme for America Saves Week is to save as a family. We think that's very critical. And then some tools to complement those accounts. I mentioned Keep the Change earlier, where you can link your checking account to your savings. And with every debit swipe, we just round it up to the nearest dollar, transfer that extra 30 or 40 or 50 cents into your savings account. Over time, that becomes pretty material. The average user, based on typical debit usage with us, can save about $150, $170 a year by just setting it once, and as Alice said, kind of set it and forget it. You mentioned, George, splitting a direct deposit is key. We also have credit card products where if you earn cash back from your credit card, you can select to deposit that straight into savings. Again, just get it in there so you're not tempted to spend it. And then further along the continuum, when clients are ready to save a little longer term, we do offer CDs, which are certificates of deposit, where you can lock the funds away at anywhere from 1 month to 10 years and typically earn a higher rate of interest. And of course, as clients are ready to start into an investment part of their journey, we provide those through our Merrill side of the business. And then finally, access to experts. I think that's key. We have some of the best associates in the business. They're in 4,300 financial centers across the country, available via phone as well. Clients can schedule an appointment through our mobile app or online banking and meet with them one-on-one. We also, importantly, have really committed even more over the last several years in our low to moderate income neighborhoods. We have almost 700 financial centers that are designated as community financial centers. And the objective there is really to help communities build financial know-how. We've got tailored products and services and specially trained employees there to help those communities really get on solid financial footing. So we know saving can be tough to think about. It's easy to feel if you haven't started, you're already behind. But the good thing is it's never too late to start. And the first step, no matter how small it is a step in the right direction.
That's great.
Back to you, George.
Thanks, Christian. Harry?
Yeah, maybe I'll take it from two different directions, both an individual standpoint and maybe the employer standpoint. But I think at the core, and we've done a lot of research, as it relates to barriers to savings, and a lot of it just comes down to human behavior and some of the behavioral sciences around it. So, for example, if you're saving for yourself well into the future and you look to envision yourself in the future, it's hard to do that. Your brain essentially recognizes your future self as a stranger, which gets in the way of thinking through your saving long term for a stranger, or procrastination bias, that I could do it tomorrow versus today, or really kind of moving in the direction of optimism bias, which is I'm in good shape, I will be in good shape, but maybe my neighbor won't be. So all of those are kind of real and really get in the way of individuals taking action. So, one of the things we do as it relates to individual engagement is we hit those head on with individuals, whether it's in-person meetings, one-on-one counseling, online engagement, self-service tutorial education, but really beginning to orient the individual around, saving long-term and really creating that paycheck in retirement. So as we think about long-term retirement savings, much of it is how do you convert your balance into a monthly paycheck in retirement, and what will it take to do so, and what are the tools available? And we make available, online retirement income calculators and many self-serve tools along the way. But I think first it's just recognizing what are the human behaviors that get in the way of saving and taking action, and how do you begin to systematically remove those along the way. I'd say from an employer or institutional standpoint, one of the things we do with many of the employers that we work with is consult with them as it relates to automatic savings. So what is the benefit and what is the cost of automatically enrolling all of your employees at a set savings rate to get them immediately saving for their future needs, goals, and objectives along the way. And by doing so, much of the success there is driven by plan design that the employer ultimately controls in the decisions they want to make as it relates to that. Employees have the opportunity to opt out, make their own decisions. But what we see is when employees are automatically enrolled in their workplace savings plan through payroll deduction, that upwards of 90+% of them continue to save and ultimately on the path for a more secure financial future. So from an individual standpoint, much of it is focused on truly the individual engagement across several mediums and several forums, but really understanding the root cause of what gets in the way of savings and beginning to help the individual remove those barriers along the way, but then also working with employers to try to set that, and you heard this prior, kind of the set it and forget it, immediately getting hundreds, if not thousands of employees immediately saving in their long-term retirement plan. And we see the stickiness of that behavior to be relatively strong. So those are maybe two different dimensions on how we look at it and how we're engaging day in and day out with both individuals and employers to help drive the collective outcomes that we all desire.
Thank you, Harry. And Alice?
Yeah, so when we first started on this journey of how do we help our customers and all consumers save more, we started with the research, and we recognized in working with experts externally as well as our behavioral economists here within the firm that we needed to ensure that whatever we did, it was personalized, it was actionable, it was relevant, and it was timely, right? So this was really, really important to us, and that we really helped our clients first think about, again, the emotional part of money, because as we all recognize, people don't always want to talk about money. It's scary, it is daunting. And so we developed a curriculum called Your Financial Journey that really first starts with having everybody understand that there was no shame, there was no reason to come in with just a lot of burden on their shoulders, that we wanted to release whatever money scripts they had growing up. And more importantly, that they acknowledge really where they were. They started there, then we could begin the conversation around spending, around savings, etc. And so this curriculum that we're using, we're deploying across all 5,000 of our branches and what we're calling Chase Chats. Because again, before we get even to the tools and helping you with the how do I do it, we really want to start with the why. Why am I saving in the first place? And so every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. in every one of our branches, we have what we call a Chase Chat. And it could be on a very specific topic. Obviously, especially this month with America Saves kicking off, as well as its big tax refund time, we really want to make sure that we're hitting our customers with the savings piece. So our Chase Chats are the number one topic right now is savings. Then when we have our customers in, we can then start to talk about the tools. And so we're very excited about our auto save tool that we launched last year. By the end of this year, we'll have more than 2 million people engaged in autosave. And the feedback from our customers and our employees has been overwhelming. This thought of saving as little as $1 a day has really resonated with both young consumers as well as older consumers. And it helps people take that bite-sized step, right, to starting their journey. And we've just been very, very thrilled. The second piece is, as it relates to tools, is what we call goal-based savings. So within a savings account, the customer has the ability to partition very specific goals. And we're pleased to report that the majority of the reason people are saving is for their rainy day. And then obviously there are things like a vacation, like purchasing a home. And again, this allows the customer the how and the planning part on their individual goal to get where they need to be. And then finally, I just want to echo the comments about the education piece, because I think that you can't just have one piece. I mean, the automatic portion of helping people to set it and forget it is critical, but knowledge is super powerful. And being able to drip on our customers through our Chase chats, as well as all of the educational content on our chase.com, has been very, very positive for our clients.
Well, thank you very much. Your insights are incredibly helpful, and the efforts on the part of your institutions clearly are significantly helping many people to save much, much better at a time when they don't think they can. So thank you very much for having this chat with me, with us, and with hopefully people out there who can take advantage of the advice and the opportunities you make available. Thanks for your leadership and participation in America Saves Week, and I wish you all a great day.